The Financial Times is a daily British business newspaper with over 100 years of tradition. Porter McCallan was a stock market specialist reporter there. He was summoned to the editor's office now. The reason was the article he had written a day before the Brexit vote. As soon as the editor saw him, he shouted, "What? Brexit vote rejection certain? Massive boost for European markets? If you're not sure, better stay quiet. You said it was certain, so what's this?" He received a barrage of complaints over the phone at the newspaper office for several days. Some even claimed they suffered significant losses because they believed the article and invested based on it, demanding compensation. Porter lowered his head. "I'm sorry." Though he said those words, he felt unjustly accused. If everything was so certain, why am I even a journalist? I made money by investing. That article, on second thought, was based on interviews with financial experts in the UK, not his personal opinion. Well, I never believed those so-called financial experts anyway. Recalling the time during the 2008 financial crisis when CDOs were touted as safe, followed by Lehman Brothers bankruptcy a week after an article was published, he remembered similar complaints flooding in. Regardless, as he had also believed in the experts and wrote the article endorsing the certainty of the UK remaining in the EU, he had no choice but to accept it. Go do some reporting. Understood. Porter left the editor's office, gritting his teeth. I'll really dig up a hot scoop this time. He called acquaintances working in financial firms and political circles to find new story angles. However, it seemed everyone had the same story. With articles forecasting the future pouring in from all directions, finding a unique angle was proving difficult. Although he could have crafted something by tweaking existing content, it didn't suit his character. He needed a powerful punch that he could confidently present to the editor. While still searching for a story idea, he happened to hear something from a friend working at the London Stock Exchange. "Have you heard of OTK Company? It seems like they made a huge profit by dumping a large amount of pounds right before. On the day of Brexit, there was a peak in exchange rate fluctuations. It wouldn't be surprising to make a big profit at that time, but something felt strange." "Tell me more about it," Porter said. He had heard of OTK Company before. It was quite a famous company in the venture capital industry. He knew they had invested in several well-known startups in the UK. While conducting his investigation, he stumbled upon an astonishing fact. About 2 months before the Brexit vote, OTK Company had taken loans from several financial companies using their ownership stakes in the companies they held as collateral. The amount exceeded $10 billion. Over the course of about a month, they raised funds and then engaged in FX margin trading, selling pounds in the foreign exchange market and buying yen. It made sense if they had predicted Brexit and acted accordingly, up to this point at least. However, the shocking event occurred on the day of the vote count. During the vote count, with high Remain figures coming out, the pound rose and the yen fell. In this situation, it is estimated that OTK Company dumped over £200 billion. Calculations suggest that they bet the remaining funds with leverage of about 40 to 50 times. Most likely, a substantial portion of the profit was made through this bet. Despite covering many financial market events in the past, this was a unique case for Porter. Without knowing, the outcome would be reversed. If this decision was made by a politician, one would assume they had obtained some prior information. However, this was the result of a public vote. It was impossible to predict how the vote counting process would unfold. There was only one conclusion that could explain this situation. Does the CEO possess incredible foresight and investment intuition? Predicting Brexit wasn't that remarkable. Even among experts, a few had warned that Brexit could become a reality. Anyone can make predictions, but very few can act on them. If you were to ask someone to bet their entire fortune on a prediction made by an expert who foresaw the Brexit, no one would dare to answer. Porter smirked. How can this even happen? As he continued his investigation, it became clear that this wasn't the first time. The first time OTK Company appeared in the financial markets was in Korea. During the L6 incident, where Samsung Electronics premium phone was discontinued due to explosions, they made huge profits through leverage and short positions just like now. Subsequently, they ventured into startup investments worldwide with the profits they made. Making money with extreme short positions, building long positions with that money, and then taking extreme short positions again? Investors have different investment preferences. However, there has never been an investor who invests in this manner. This is completely sensational. Portner spent 2 sleepless nights writing the article and presented it to the editor. Is this for real? The amounts might vary a bit, but the rest is certain. So, a single investment company made $30 billion betting on the yen rising and the pound falling? The editor's eyes sparkled. With years of experience, he sensed the scoop. Portner quickly said, "Editor, this must go on the front page of tomorrow's newspaper right away." The editor replied cautiously, "We should do some follow-up reporting before publishing." He seemed frustrated as he lowered his head slightly. "Did we cover this alone? Wall Street Journal and Washington Post, they've all caught wind and have been reporting on it. It's now about who breaks the news first. Even a minute's delay means we'll end up just copying others, you know?" It's true. Time is of the essence in sensational stories. Not just a minute, but even a single second's delay can mean losing out on the scoop. The editor picked up the phone and gave the order, "Leave the front page empty for tomorrow's paper." The next day, a headline-grabbing article was featured on the front page of the Financial Times. Who attacked the UK foreign exchange market? The reports from Tottenham were enough to turn the entire UK upside down. After the first report in the Financial Times, related articles poured in. OTK company reaping $30 billion profit in foreign exchange market. Who is OTK company? Worst incident since Quantum Fund. Was the UK government's response to the foreign exchange speculator appropriate? Otaku's air raid on the UK. OTK company suspected to be of Japanese origin. The British people were furious. Already confused due to Brexit, they were outraged by mysterious figures making enormous profits in their own foreign exchange market. The aftermath reached the political arena. Ultimately, the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer stepped in. There is no issue with the financial stability of the UK. The government barely suffered any losses in foreign exchange reserves due to this incident. The government will crack down on speculators disrupting the financial market. Similar incidents also occurred in Japan. Despite the actual events unfolding in the UK and the EU, global investment funds flocking to safe assets caused a surge in the yen, resulting in damages. The Japanese government mobilized various measures to raise the exchange rate, and the Minister of Finance issued a stern warning. "We will strengthen monitoring of foreign exchange speculators. Financial authorities are prepared to take all necessary measures for market stability." Watching TV, Taikyu said, "They won't let the speculators go unpunished. Even if others don't know, they shouldn't say these things. Haven't they ever thought about how they've been plundering emerging countries all this time? South Korea has also been exploited by global capital for a long time. As a country with an export-driven economy, South Korea has a high level of openness compared to the market size, making it easy for money to be taken out whenever needed. Would it be fitting to call it the ATM of Asia?" During the IMF crisis, foreigners swept up undervalued shares of major corporations. Among them were considerable investments from the UK and Japan. In particular, despite the Korean government's request for maturity extension, Japan unexpectedly converted investment funds into dollars and swiftly withdrew, hastening the foreign exchange crisis. Similar situations recurred during the 2008 financial crisis. Like water flowing from a high place to a low place, it is natural for global investment funds to move towards higher profits. We also put money where profits were and simply made money. Although we made quite a bit of money. News coverage poured in not only from the UK's BBC and Japan's NHN but also from the US's CNN, China's CCTV and others, all discussing OTK company. While aware that making money from short positions would attract criticism, being globally criticized in this manner was unexpected. If you go to the UK, you might get in trouble. If one were to reveal themselves as the CEO of OTK company in London, it seems like they might face public outrage at Trafalgar Square without it being unusual. They would become the most criticized investor in the UK after George Soros. Is this something to be pleased about? One fortunate aspect is that everyone perceives OTK company as Japanese-funded. This led to untimely anti-Japanese sentiments among some UK netizens. Conversely, Japanese netizens collectively welcomed it. OTK company was a Japanese company? That's right. So, you know they invested in OTK games, right? An otaku reaching out to the world. Bavu company cheers. The otaku conquered England. Now let's conquer the world. Taikyu was puzzled. What are these? Why are they cheering? I don't know. Anyway, from our perspective it was a good thing. The crucial moment that led to this misunderstanding was Taikyu's investment in a Japanese game company. Was that investment a stroke of genius? Thinking so, my phone rang. Ring. I answered a call from Senior Sanjiop. Hey Jinhu. What are you up to? I'm watching the news. Are you at work, Senior? No. I can't go to the company. Why? When I tried to go to work, reporters were camping in front of the office. While the world was buzzing about OTK Company in the global financial market, the issue in Korea was K Company. K Company purchased put options on global markets just before the Brexit vote, earning more than 4 times their investment. It was a result of taking advantage of financial markets worldwide. For a Korean investment company to achieve such results in the global market was unprecedented. When the news spread, Korean netizens cheered. After always being ripped off by foreign capital, we finally did something. Is it K Company because it's Korea Company? But what kind of company is it? It specializes in venture capital. It's the largest shareholder of EDM Entertainment and Bansum, and the main investor in TMEP. An investment company did that. What exactly do major securities firms in Korea do? Right. They were wrong again on their Brexit predictions and only ended up with losses. They feel like a fools for trusting their advice in investing. Seems like they might have better luck tossing dice. Who is the CEO? I heard he's a Korean university graduate named Park Sang-yeep. Oh. Korean university indeed. Is it really true that they earned $4 billion? I heard they made more than 5 trillion won. The media and finance industry both paid attention to K Company. Just 1 year ago the company was unknown, but now it has become the most famous investment company in Korea. And Senior Sang-yeep has risen in fame as a genius investor in the media. Amid various events, there was another bombshell-like news in the Korean financial industry. James C. Goldman, CEO of Golden Gate, known as a reclusive investor, had never been in the public eye and had avoided interviews with the media. However, in a written interview with the Wall Street Journal, he revealed, "I plan to establish a branch in Korea within a few months. We have already completed all preparations." Golden Gate owns 3 large buildings on Tehran Road. Releasing one of the buildings whose lease had expired, they will be opening a branch there. While they have branches in China and Japan, Korea only has small branches handling banking operations. The fact that the world's largest IB is establishing a branch in Korea shows the high status of Korean finance. While the politicians welcomed this move, domestic financial institutions were all anxious. Golden Gate is larger than all Korean IBs combined. It was uncertain how aggressively they would operate, but it was clear that the competition would intensify in the future. The Securities Association stated that they should not give privileges to foreign securities firms and must adhere to Korean regulations and laws, just like domestic securities firms. I recalled the words I heard from Chase Southwell before. Maybe there will be good news for each other before the end of this year. He has said something like that. Taekyu asked. The Korean business was originally managed by the Asia office. What will happen to the employees working there? Some of them will probably move to Korea. Taekyu smirked at my response. What about our sister? When the establishment of Golden Gate's Korea branch was announced, the Asian office in Hong Kong buzzed with excitement. As they had been in charge of Korean-related operations here, they were likely to face significant changes. Oh Hyunju received a summons and headed to the branch office. As she opened the door and entered, Chase Southwell stood up from his seat and greeted her. I suppose you can guess why I called you. Hyunju nodded. Yes. Probably because of the assignment to the Korea branch. Personally, she wanted to gain more experience here. However, that was not something she could decide. Looking at Hyunju, Chase said, "You will have to go to Korea." She already anticipated this. She nodded, but his next words followed. Can you take on the role of the Korea's branch manager? Confused, Hyunju stammered, yes. Oh Hyunju was a gifted prodigy from a young age. She entered Korea University as the top student in the economics department, graduated at the top of her class, and later landed a job at Golden Gate, which was said to be harder to get into than passing through the eye of a needle. Getting a job was just the beginning. She worked late every day, the workload was overwhelming. There were times she couldn't go home for a whole week when things got really busy. In a place where even robust men found it tough to endure, she stood out, steadily climbing the promotion ladder. She believed she would eventually rise to an even higher position. However, being offered the branch manager position at this point was beyond her wildest imagination. Chase said to the surprised Hyunju, "There are two reasons. Firstly, it is because we believe your capabilities are sufficient to take on the role of the branch manager. Golden Gate is where financial geniuses from all over the world gather. No matter how much of a genius she was, there were always others more outstanding here. Moreover, out of all the Asian branch managers at Golden Gate, there were only 2 Asians and not a single woman. The youngest among them was in their mid-40s. The financial industry is surprisingly conservative and authoritarian, so such bold appointments are extremely rare. If there is another reason, is it because of OTK Company?" Chase nodded. "That's correct. OTK Company is currently the largest client of our Asian branch, and it is one of the most important clients throughout Golden Gate. Among Golden Gate's clients are companies with market capitalizations of over $100 billion. However, having a market capitalization of $100 billion does not mean they have $100 billion in cash assets. In terms of cash assets alone, there are few clients that can be compared with OTK Company. The rapid establishment of the Korean branch, which had been a long-planned process, was largely due to OTK Company. And Hyunju played a crucial role in connecting both OTK Company and Golden Gate. This not only meant that she had a strong backing. However, it was Jessica Yu, the team leader, who attracted the customer OTK Company to Golden Gate and helped them grow. With that level of skill, she should be more than capable of leading the Korean branch in the future, Chase Southwell stated firmly. "You must know from experience. Golden Gate doesn't offer the position of branch manager to someone without skills," he added. As this was her first time undertaking such a role, there would likely be some trial and error. Still, Chase believed Hyunju would handle it well. However, this was all conditional on her accepting the offer. "What will you do?" he inquired. Hyunju hesitated. As a branch manager, she could receive a salary in the millions of dollars, as well as additional incentives based on performance. But money was not a consideration. Thanks to inheriting a 3% stake in her younger brother's company, her assets exceeded 1 trillion won. Despite not being able to spend that money immediately, her hefty salary over the years had stacked up in her account. During her time here, the company provided her with an apartment and a car, so she didn't have much need to spend money. What she needed to consider were the responsibilities and obligations involved. "Can I really do this?" she wondered. She would be the first female branch manager. She was well aware of how thick the glass ceiling was in this world. Succeeding would be expected, but failing would likely lead to comments like, "That's why women shouldn't do this." If it were Jinhoo, how would he have handled it? Opportunities come to everyone, but seizing them requires courage. Jinhoo had shown that several times. With a firm decision made, Hyunju nodded. "I will accept it," she declared. Chase smiled satisfactorily. "I'll entrust the Korean branch to you. No matter how big things happen in the world, daily life continues. In less than a month, tens of trillions were added to my assets, but not much changed. I didn't move houses, change cars, or switch the clothes I wore. It was just the numbers in my account that had increased. Come to think of it, everyone lives diligently to increase those numbers. I drove to school. The road was clear, so I arrived earlier than expected. Passing through the main gate, I saw several broadcasting station vehicles parked at the entrance. What's going on? I parked and walked up. Near the business school building, cameramen and reporters with microphones were covering something. Did something happen at school? As I thought about it, Min Young and Kyung-jil were talking to the reporters. What's going on? As I approached and asked, Kyung-jil shouted, "Here he is. This is Kang Jin-hoo." Huh. Before I could finish, the reporters quickly approached us, pushing microphones with the broadcasting station logos. "Are you Kang Jin-hoo? Please say a few words. What do you think about this incident? Have you heard anything about Brexit?" Sweat trickled down my forehead. At that moment, only one thought crossed my mind. Am I caught? Am I exposed as the CEO of OTK Company? How on earth? Who leaked this information? Only a handful of people know my identity. Taekyu, Hyunju, Lee Senior, Sanjiop, Chase Southwell, and a few CEOs of the companies we've invested in. Could it be that one of them leaked my identity to the press? The camera lens pointed at my face. I knew a day like this would come eventually. But I never expected it to be today. What would happen if it's revealed that the CEO of OTK company, shaking the world financial markets, is just a university student? Even if I don't know, it would be reported as breaking news worldwide. And many things will surely change starting from tomorrow. It might become difficult to attend school as comfortably as now. Maybe I won't be able to walk around outside without bodyguards. Words didn't come out easily. What should I even say? Should I introduce myself as the CEO of OTK company right away? Kyan Jill, who was watching from the side, spoke up. Just speak comfortably. You're close with Senior Sanjiop, right? The journalists asked me more questions. What kind of senior was President Park Sanjiop? I heard you were involved in club activities together. Is there any memorable episode? We'd like to hear about K Company's establishment and its relation to you. I finally understood the situation. As K Company gained fame, some television stations came to interview people related to Senior Sanjiop. I let out a sigh of relief inside. Was it because of me or was it because of Senior Sanjiop? I almost revealed myself as the CEO of OTK company without even knowing. I was surprised to realize I almost got caught. Please share your thoughts about President Park Sanjiop. Is it possible to make a phone call here? I already had a bad reputation in the British media. Of course, I didn't know if it was about me, so I didn't want to get involved with the press. I looked at the camera and said, I'm not that close to that senior. I don't even know his contact information. The reporters were taken aback. But I have a class to attend, so I'll excuse myself. Finishing my words, I quickly headed towards the business administration building. Looking back, I saw some who wanted to appear on TV were going crazy interviewing each other. The world is vast and there are plenty of attention seekers. Late at night, Senior Sanjiop came to our house. We met at home because his face had become too well known recently to meet outside. He arrived in a green Mini Cooper. After parking the car, Senior Sanjiop struggled to get out, as the narrow car body didn't seem to suit his stature. The car looked cute compared to his size. What kind of car is this? Gahong's car. I borrowed it because journalists would hassle him during his commute, trying to avoid cameras. Then what does Gahong drive? I gave him my car. Mini Cooper for an S-Class. Is this the sharing economy? We sat in the living room. How are you? Is life treating you well these days? I'm dying. Reporters are camped outside my company. My phone keeps ringing non-stop. They somehow found my cell phone number and now I have to change it again. You must be thrilled. Sanjiop Sr. sighed as if he was fed up. This is not a laughing matter. Reporters are swarming around my house so much that I had to leave it and sleep rough. Ha ha ha. Taikyu burst into laughter uncontrollably. I chuckled a bit myself, but I didn't feel at ease. I'm scared that the same situation might happen to me later on. I plan to hide as long as I can, but how long can I keep that up? Haven't you eaten? No, it's late, so let's just order something. Taikyu said as he picked up his phone. Then it has to be Chinese food, of course. Just buy a Chinese franchise. After a while, when the food arrived, we gathered around the table and had black bean noodles and sweet and sour pork while chatting. I thought I was going to die watching the voting process that day. Jinhu, how did you manage to make a bet in such a situation? I chuckled and replied, I don't really know either. Sanjiop Sr. nodded. If it were me, I don't think I could have done it even if I was told to. Anyway, thanks to you, an unknown celebrity now owes you. When did you hear that Golden Gate is establishing a branch in Korea? We also found out through the news. Does that mean your sister is coming to Korea too? Taekyu said, a few days ago I talked with my older sister and it seems like that might happen. Come to think of it, is Ellie coming to Korea too? At the end of the meal, Sangyip Sr. said, by the way, I don't know what to do with all this money. It's a whopping 48 trillion Korean won. How many big corporations have this much cash on hand? Regardless of whether it's CB or IB, everyone is salivating over this money. Banks have lined up for deposits. We have no intention of trading with anyone other than Golden Gate. Don't you have anything you want to invest in? I asked. Sangyip Sr.'s eyes sparkled at my words. Actually, there's something I'm considering. Already after the end of Brexit, he seems to be looking for the next investment opportunity. What is it? I think the cryptocurrency market is interesting these days. You showed interest. Bitcoin. With the largest exchange, Mountain Hill, going bankrupt due to hacking, Bitcoin, which had surpassed $1,000, plummeted to below $500. Back then, people were saying that cryptocurrencies were finished. However, they have recently begun to attract attention again, mainly due to Brexit. As global stock markets fluctuated and exchange rates wavered due to the UK's EU withdrawal, Bitcoin emerged as an alternative investment, drawing in investors. On the day the Brexit results were announced, it surged by over 30%, reclaiming the $700 mark. As you know, cryptocurrencies themselves have no intrinsic value. There's no issuing authority, no payment guarantee. But some people believe it has value. I nodded. Value is a relative concept after all. For example, let's assume that a particular type of shellfish is used as currency in region A, where it is hard to come by, but not in region B. A merchant living in region B knows that by bringing the shellfish found in this area to region A, they can exchange it for valuable goods like spices or decorations. So the merchant collects the shellfish in region B and makes a profit by selling it in region A. Soon this fact spreads throughout region B. Now everyone in region B is aware that the specific type of shellfish, rare but previously deemed worthless, holds great value in region A. People in region B will start collecting the shellfish to take to region A. Consequently, the shellfish, once considered trash, now receives great value even in region B. In essence, because the shellfish holds value in region A, it gains the same value in region B as well. The same goes for cryptocurrency. Even if I personally believe that a particular cryptocurrency has no value, if someone is selling it for $600, I would buy it immediately because I know I can sell it for over $700 on an exchange. Cryptocurrency. When you think about it, all of this started because of that particular cryptocurrency. At that moment, a hologram appeared before my eyes. Trade is an act that benefits both parties. In the past, trade was carried out through barter. It involved directly exchanging a piece of meat for a sack of rice. However, as the scale of trade grew and the number of participants increased, there were limitations to bartering. That's why people started trading using items that everyone could recognize the value of. This led to the emergence of physical currency. Since physical currency had to have intrinsic value, it was mainly made from gems or metals. People would carry currency made of gold or silver and use it for transactions. For larger trades, they had to carry carts full of gold and silver coins. Then someone had an idea. Instead of carrying heavy coins all the time, what if they deposited their gold in a trusted place and carried certificates that could be exchanged for it? Banks were established and people started trading with the certificates issued by these banks. From then on, money became completely separated from its actual value. The certificate itself had no value, but you could always exchange it for the amount of gold stated on it at the bank. Due to this trust, the certificate was as good as gold. This marked the rise of credit money. Countries would mint money equivalent to the gold they held, allowing people to exchange money for gold and vice versa. Even the dollar could be exchanged for gold at a rate of $35 per ounce. This gold standard system lasted until the 16th century. However, in 1971, the US abandoned the gold standard for the dollar, allowing them to issue currency freely regardless of gold reserves. With the function of exchange for gold gone, the value of fiat money relied solely on the credit of the issuing authority. The US government guaranteed the value of the dollar. Trust in the nation was equivalent to belief in the value of the currency. However, this trust was shaken when the US faced an unprecedented financial crisis and resorted to quantitative easing, essentially printing unlimited amounts of money to boost the economy. This showed that the value of money could be altered by government policy. When trust in governments to issue and guarantee value eroded, investors began looking for alternatives. This led to the rapid rise of cryptocurrencies, with Bitcoin being a prominent example. Cryptocurrencies have several key characteristics. Firstly, they are secure from duplication and hacking. First, cryptocurrencies do not have centralized servers managing their data. Instead, information from each user is stored in connected blocks known as a blockchain. It is practically impossible to alter existing information without hacking more than half of the blocks simultaneously. Therefore, in essence, replication and hacking are impossible. Even in the Mt. Gox hacking incident where coins were stolen from an exchange, it was not the cryptocurrency itself that was hacked. Secondly, cryptocurrencies operate without a central governing body. A set algorithm determines the issuance of a fixed amount. Unlike traditional currencies issued and controlled by governments, cryptocurrency developers cannot unilaterally control them. They operate solely based on predetermined algorithms. Mining, the process of solving cryptographic problems to automatically generate coins, is akin to extracting minerals from a mine. As time passes, mining becomes more challenging, issuance stops after a set amount and transactions cease. Thirdly, cryptocurrencies are not subject to government control or regulations for transfers and transactions. Unlike during Brexit when the UK government halted pound conversions, cryptocurrencies remain unaffected by such measures. Even if banks freeze an account with large sums, transactions become impossible. In contrast, cryptocurrencies are free from such regulations. As long as connected to the network, transactions can occur seamlessly. In times of war, one might only need their cryptographic keys to escape without the need for physical cash. /n. During the Ukraine war, several European countries and the EU implemented measures to seize or freeze Russian assets as part of sanctions against Russia. This included targeting oligarchs' properties, bank accounts, and other financial assets in response to the invasion of Ukraine. The aim was to apply economic pressure on Russia and hold it accountable for its actions. Tell me, how could people trust those banks with your money? While these advantages are clear, the lack of a governing body means there is no recourse in case of issues. Unlike banks that compensate for hacked accounts, victims of cryptocurrency hacks like Mt. Gox received no compensation. After the popularity of Bitcoin, hundreds of other cryptocurrencies flooded the market. Thinking of the future prediction, I asked my senior, Sanjiop, "Do you know about Ethereum?" Sanjiop nodded and replied, "Oh, I've heard about it recently. Blockchain is the core technology behind cryptocurrencies, used not only in cryptocurrencies but also in various IT fields. Ethereum, emerging about a year ago, differs from Bitcoin by storing information not just for currency but also for smart contracts. Therefore, it is possible to program trades to be automatically executed when specific conditions are met. You can think of it as a more evolved form of cryptocurrency than Bitcoin. What is its scale? Its market capitalization is not even 1/10 of Bitcoin's. Anyone with the ability to create cryptocurrency can issue it, but not all cryptocurrencies are recognized for their value in the market. While Bitcoin is already acknowledged by many as valuable, other cryptocurrencies are not. Bitcoin was created as an alternative currency. Traditional banks used to charge hefty fees for exchanging small amounts of money or sending money overseas. Bitcoin offers much lower fees for currency exchange and international transfers. However, despite its convenience, the current market resembles more of a speculative arena. It is not uncommon for prices to fluctuate by tens of percentages in a single day, even without significant events like Brexit. Even if Bitcoin rises to $700, its market capitalization combined is around $10 billion. Combining all other cryptocurrencies, it is less than $15 billion. Due to the small size of the market itself, rapid fluctuations are inevitable with movements in investment capital. Currency must have stable value. A currency that is worth $10 one day, $5 the next, and $20 the following day would struggle to function properly. This poses a contradiction for investors in cryptocurrencies. They hope for cryptocurrencies to be recognized as a currency while also wishing for price surges. While there are places online and offline that accept Bitcoin, they are very limited. Therefore, many currently approach it more as an investment asset than as a currency. So, are cryptocurrencies a sound investment? Unlike stocks with dividends, bonds with interest, or real estate with rental income, currency and commodities do not generate any intrinsic value. Therefore, investors should focus solely on price fluctuations due to external factors when investing. How much more growth can be expected in the future? I pondered deeply. Does what Oracle showed mean that Ethereum has value worth mining and holding? Does this imply that the cryptocurrency market will grow further? Do we have our own cryptocurrency exchange? Sanjiop nodded. Yes, Bansam. You recommended investing in it before. In the early days, Bitcoin was easily obtainable through mining. However, after several halvings, the difficulty level has increased to a point where mining is no longer feasible on personal computers. People who want to invest in Bitcoin usually purchase it through exchanges. Exchanges connect buyers and sellers of cryptocurrencies and charge fees in between the transactions. The founder of Bansum was originally a cryptocurrency investor. However, after losing all his Bitcoins in the bankruptcy of Mount Hill Exchange, he decided to create his own exchange. How much stake does K Company have? Currently 63.5%. As the cryptocurrency market grows, exchanges can make profits regardless of market fluctuations. Exchanges tend to attract more users as more people trade on their platform. Intensify investment in Bansum. Increase your stake during the equity offering. To stay ahead in competition with other exchanges, you need to expand your scale. Got it. Also, invest in both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Currently, Bitcoin plays a key role in the cryptocurrency market. If the value of Ethereum rises, it is likely that the value of Bitcoin will also increase accordingly. It might be okay to engage in mining yourself. Mining seems challenging in our country. Mining most cryptocurrencies is no longer feasible with personal computers. Professional miners set up mining rigs consisting of hundreds of specialized computers in warehouses. One crucial issue with mining is the cost of electricity. If not managed properly, electricity expenses may exceed mining profits. You could consider placing operations in countries with cheaper electricity costs or colder climates for cooling efficiency. Colder climates can help reduce electricity costs. Senior Sanjiop nodded. Do you think it'll be fine? There is a high possibility of market growth in the near future. Whether this bubble-like market trend will evolve into a tulip mania bubble or establish itself as an alternative currency remains uncertain, but it has certainly created a new investment market. Investing now could potentially yield significant profits, don't you think? Why isn't OTK Company investing? It's because the market size is still too small. Their cash reserves alone amount to $300 billion. They needed a market large enough to justify their investment. I turned to Senior Sanjiop and asked, "Have you found a new building?" "The current building is too small and lacks security. That's why we needed to quickly find a suitable place to relocate. I'm still looking into it, but I haven't found any building among the listings that I like. I've checked out a few plots, but the locations aren't great and it would take a long time to build from scratch. Large buildings have limited buyers and sellers, making transactions difficult. Money is not an issue, so try to purchase in the best possible location. It would be a hassle to move again later." Senior Sanjiop nodded in agreement. "By the way, Jinhu, what are you planning to do with the money this time?" "I'm still considering. People spent unimaginable amounts of money. Taikyu believed that more money was always better. However, no matter how much you earn, spending it all before you die is difficult and you can't take it with you after you pass away. Isn't there something better to do than just earning money? For now, you should quietly attend school. Is school bearable for you?" "Just so." Senior Sanjiop seemed disappointed. "I was just a year away from graduating if I had continued. Don't you want to return to school?" Senior Sanjiop chuckled at my question. "Returning to school? I'm too busy with what I'm doing now. Besides, I probably got expelled for stopping my studies without taking a leave of absence." "That makes sense." Suddenly, memories of the days when we were in a club together came to mind. It felt like yesterday when I nervously invested 1 million won. The person who was the club president back then is now the CEO of one of the most successful investment companies in Korea. And I became the owner of that company. We had a lot of fun in our club, didn't we? Senior Sanjiop nodded in agreement. "Yes, we used to go to the Han River for chicken and beer around this time. Fortunately, there are still many good people around me. Let's have chicken and beer at the Han River when Hyunju Nuna and Ellie come later." "Sounds good." After the dust settled on the issues with K Company and Senior Sanjiop, the biggest concern on campus was the final exams. When I first returned to school, I was overflowing with confidence. However, theory and practice are different. Doing well in practice 100 times does not necessarily translate to good grades. Fortunately, even if I don't get good grades, it seems like I won't have trouble graduating. Professor Kim Myung-jun, who taught management science, looked around at the students and said, "Do you know that Golden Gate is establishing a branch in Korea? Everyone needs to get good grades to get hired there." The establishment of a Korean branch was also a matter of concern within Korea University. While the issue of relocating the existing tenants of the building to accommodate the new headquarters was resolved, the real issue lay in manpower. For now, they plan to transfer the necessary personnel from other Asian branches to Korea. The remaining staff will be hired in Korea as positions become available. No one knew how much Golden Gate would invest in the Korean market, but they expected to hire at least 500 to 1,000 employees. Golden Gate is a dream workplace for those aspiring to work in the financial sector. Naturally, students majoring in business and economics welcomed this opportunity. However, there were a few peculiar points about this development. First, the establishment of the branch was done very hastily. Typically, a process that would take over a year after the announcement was completed within a month. Another peculiarity was the choice of location, Gangnam. While private equity funds are typically in Gangnam, Korean securities firms are in Uido, and foreign securities firms are concentrated in Gwanghwamun. Despite everyone's expectations that Golden Gate would choose Gwanghwamun, they opted for Gangnam instead. Professor Kim suddenly looked at me and asked, "Kang Jin-hoo, don't you know anything?" I was momentarily taken aback. Why is the establishment of the branch progressing so quickly, and why did they choose Gangnam of all places? Surely it's not because of me, right? /N-and-MB. Trade. The exchange of goods and services between parties, ideally benefiting both. Barter. A system of exchange where goods are directly traded for other goods without using money. Physical currency. Tangible money like coins and paper notes, that serves as a medium of exchange. Intrinsic value. The inherent worth of an item, often based on the materials it is made from, like gold or silver. Banking certificates. Documents issued by banks that represent a claim to a specific amount of a commodity, such as gold. Trust in banks. Confidence that a bank will honor its obligations, allowing for the use of certificates instead of physical currency. Money systems. Credit money. Money that derives its value from the trust in the issuer rather than from a physical commodity. Gold standard. A monetary system where currency value is directly linked to gold, allowing for conversion between currency and gold. Fiat money. Currency that has value by government decree, not backed by physical commodities. Its value relies on trust in the issuing authority. Cryptocurrency. Digital or virtual currencies that use cryptography for security and operate independently of a central authority. Blockchain. A decentralized digital ledger that records transactions across many computers in a secure and transparent way. Mining. The process of validating transactions and adding them to the blockchain, often involving solving complex mathematical problems. The transition from the gold standard to fiat money was a significant shift in the global financial system. Here's a concise overview. Gold standard era. 19th century adoption. Countries like the UK in 1821, and later the US adopted the gold standard, where currency value was directly linked to a specific amount of gold. Stability and convertibility. This system provided stability as paper money could be exchanged for gold, ensuring consistent currency values internationally. Challenges and decline. Economic crises. The Great Depression in the 1930s highlighted the limitations of the gold standard, as countries struggled to maintain gold reserves while addressing economic downturns. This moves away. By 1933, the U.S. had already started moving away from the gold standard to combat the economic crisis. End of the gold standard. 1971 Nixon shock. President Nixon ended the convertibility of the U.S. dollar to gold in 1971, marking the official shift to fiat money. This allowed the U.S. to issue currency based on the government's credit rather than gold reserves. Fiat money system. Value based on trust. Fiat money, like the U.S. dollar today, derives its value from the trust and credit of the issuing government. Monetary policy. Flexibility. This system provides more flexibility in monetary policy, allowing governments to manage economic conditions more effectively. This transition allowed for greater economic flexibility but also required strong and stable governance to maintain trust in the currency. We headed to Incheon Airport by car. What time did they say they would arrive? I asked. Taekyu answered my question, 2:30. Today Hyunju and Ellie were scheduled to come to Korea with the employees who would be working at the Golden Gate Korea branch. That's why we were going to pick them up. When we arrived at Incheon Airport and parked, An unexpected sight unfolded as we entered the immigration area. There were reporters from various media outlets crowding the area, from KBC, MBS and SBC to cable channels, and even international reporters like CNN and NHN. They had set up a photo line and even positioned security guards. Taekyu also looked puzzled, unable to understand what was happening. Did a Hollywood star come to Korea? I wondered, not really interested in celebrity news. As we waited, the immigration doors opened and foreign travelers carrying their luggage emerged. Following them was a woman in her early 30s, wearing a black high-waisted skirt, a white blouse and glasses, who seemed to be accompanied by colleagues. It was Hyunju. Just as I was about to wave at her, cameras suddenly started flashing in Hyunju's direction. Click click. The shutters went off incessantly. Hyunju tried to escape with the staff to leave the immigration area, but reporters surrounded her completely. What's going on? Taekyu exclaimed in surprise. Did something happen to our sister? I can't believe it. Could that really be Hyunju? But unless something major happened, the media wouldn't swarm like this. Blocked by reporters and unable to move forward, Hyunju reluctantly stopped walking. Soon, a dozen microphones with broadcasting station logos were thrust towards her. What do you think about becoming the first Korean to be the Golden Gate branch manager? Could you please share your thoughts? Do you have any investment plans in Korea? As the Korean branch manager, how do you view the future of the Korean market? Dozens of questions were thrown at once. These were not just questions for Oh Hyunju personally but for the Golden Gate Korea branch manager. I looked at Taekyu in confusion. Hyunju is the branch manager? Did you know? Taekyu appeared even more shocked than me. No. What are you saying? A branch manager. Our sister is the branch manager. I muttered while watching Hyunju, who was answering the journalists' questions. Has there ever been a female branch manager at Golden Gate before? It was a soliloquy, but surprisingly an answer came from behind. Tell/n, soliloquy equals the act of talking to oneself. Jessica is the first woman to become a branch manager. Turning around, I saw a foreign woman with short brown hair and a suit standing there. When did she arrive? Ellie. Shoo. Ellie put her finger to her lips and hid behind me. It was a gesture mindful of the journalists. Fortunately, all the journalists were captivated by Hyunju. Ellie smiled and said, "It's been a long time. I missed you. It's the first time since Brexit." I asked her, "What happened?" "It's as you see. Jessica has become the Korea branch manager." I thought she might get a promotion when I heard she was coming to the Korea branch. But becoming the branch manager? I never expected that. Taekyu blinked and asked, "Is this such a big deal?" Of course. Being a branch manager at Golden Gate is considered a higher position than the CEO of most major securities firms in the country. Now I finally understand the situation. Golden Gate entering Korea directly is already surprising, but it's even more astonishing that a Korean woman in her early 30s has taken the position of branch manager. This would surely attract the attention of reporters from all broadcasting stations. Tonight's news will probably feature Hyunju Nuna's face. Nuna. Oops. I interrupted Taekyu, who was about to shout while waving his hand. Pretending not to know anyone here would likely prevent us from being dragged into the spotlight. We stood behind as if we were strangers watching the interview scene. Even though it was an unexpected situation, Hyunju Nuna calmly responded to the reporters' questions without any signs of flusters. As the first female branch manager, how much consideration will you give to the ratio of female hires? Hyunju Nuna replied succinctly, "Hiring will be done according to regulations, and we will choose people based on their abilities regardless of gender. It's known that there are gender discrimination issues within Golden Gate. Do you plan to give more opportunities to female financiers?" The reporters continued to press with questions. Answering each one would take all night. The security guards blocked the reporters and Hyunju Nuna walked out with her staff through the gap. Outside the immigration gate, a vehicle was waiting, and as soon as Hyunju Nuna got in, the car departed. The remaining reporters started looking for other subjects to cover. The Golden Gate staff who hadn't left the immigration gate yet became their targets. Could you please share your thoughts on Director Oh Hyunju? Do you have any information about the future plans of the Korean branch? I told Ellie, "Let's go quickly." As we were about to leave, Ellie naturally came to my right side and linked arms with me. Felt soft and warm. Seeing my surprise, she winked and said, "The journalists are watching from behind. Walking like this, no one would suspect us of being Golden Gate employees." Disguised as lovers, we crossed the street and headed towards the parking lot. Only when we reached the front of the car did Ellie unlink our arms. Did we really need to go this far? It seems like no one knew from the beginning that we were Golden Gate employees. Between Yeoksam Station and Sealung Station on Tehran Road, there are two 38-story buildings completely covered in blue glass exteriors. Both buildings were purchased by Chase Southwell of Golden Gate Asia during the IMF crisis at discount prices and were newly constructed with the surrounding land. The building on the right is set to become the Korean branch office. Outside the building, broadcasting vehicles and camera crews were crowded, while private security guards controlled access around the building and at the entrance to the underground parking lot. As we tried to drive in that direction, a security guard blocked our path. Unauthorized individuals are not allowed entry. Ellie took out her ID from her pocket and handed it to me, and I showed it to the security guard. "We are Golden Gate employees." The security guard checked the ID and opened the barrier. After parking in the underground parking lot and going up to the lobby, an employee was waiting. "I've informed the branch manager about your arrival. He will be here shortly to guide you in." It seemed we had arrived first. We took the elevator straight to the top floor, the 38th floor. While the interior construction was still in progress throughout the building, the branch manager's office was already completed. The walls, furniture, and appliances were all new. Taekyu looked around and remarked, "This place is really nice." There were office and reception areas in the spacious room, with a bedroom, shower room, and dressing room further inside. Is this the warm consideration of the company urging us to keep working instead of leaving work? Just then Hyunju entered the room looking exhausted, unlike before. She collapsed onto the sofa. "It's been a while. Have you been well?" Taekyu asked. "When did you become the branch manager? Why didn't you tell us earlier?" Hyunju expressed a hint of regret. "I'm sorry. I was planning to tell you in person today, but I didn't realize the media would catch on first. Nevertheless, it was something worth celebrating. Congratulations." "Congrats, not bad at all. It's all thanks to you." "Thanks to me." Hyunju smirked. "If it weren't for OTK Company and K Company, there would be no establishment of a branch in Korea, and I wouldn't have become a branch manager." I was quite surprised by her words. "Really, Golden Gate entered Korea because of OTK Company?" In response to my question, Hyunju nodded. "About half of it, I suppose. The cash holdings of K Company alone are more than what the branch can handle. Moreover, we need to consider the future IPO. The companies we hold stakes in are growing day by day. Soon, one by one, they will be listed on the stock exchange. The securities firm handling the IPO can attract clients and collect fees. While the companies owned by OTK Company will likely be listed in overseas markets, those owned by K Company will mostly be listed on Kosdaq. From Golden Gate's perspective, they wouldn't want to miss out on either." Hyunju lit a cigarette. "You know that the entire financial industry has its eyes on OTK Company after Brexit, right?" "Yes. There have been fluctuations in its name before, but this time it's on a different level. A whopping $30 billion. It's the amount equivalent to a year's worth of net profit for Seosung Electronics earned in just 1 month in the foreign exchange market. How long do you plan to keep hiding it?" Following Sanjeop, even Hyunju was exposed in the media. To find out the owner of OTK Company, you need to examine the corporate registry stored in Delaware. However, while OTK Company was pouring money into the foreign exchange market, K Company was investing in the derivatives market. The markets were different, but the investment methods were almost the same. Currently, OTK Company owns 98% of K Company's shares, and both companies trade through Golden Gate. Ultimately, if you explore Golden Gate and K Company, our names, mine and Taekyu's, will inevitably be mentioned. Moreover, there are already several people who know our true identities. It's only a matter of time before it's revealed, but not yet. South Korea is a democratic republic as stated in the Constitution, which does not recognize any social special classes. However, in reality, special classes definitely do exist. After the Korean War, the conglomerates that emerged went on to accumulate wealth, operate businesses, and dominate Korean society. What would happen if my true identity were revealed? Currently, OTK Company's assets exceed the market capitalization of most domestic conglomerate groups. However, despite the amount of money they hold, their influence in Korea has been minimal. Korea has formed solid cartels among the political sector, conglomerates, media, etc., intertwined with connections and collaborations. The strength of their influence is easily observed by looking at the stock exchange. How many companies unrelated to conglomerates are within the top 20 market capitalizations on the KOSPI? In contrast, in the United States, startups like Google, Facebook, Amazon, and even in China with Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu have risen to the top of the market capitalization ranking. Could it be that while Korean entrepreneurs are idling, conglomerates are working too hard, leading to these results? It is not to deny the role of conglomerates in the development of South Korea. Conglomerates like Samsung Electronics and Unsung Cars have actively contributed to economic growth in the global market. However, beneath this lies the side effect of preventing the growth of new companies alongside domestic market monopolies and conglomerate subsidiaries. In such a scenario, because of having money, the likelihood of becoming a target is high. We, not part of the cartel, will constantly face restraint. In the process of making money, we haven't done anything worthy of legal repercussions. However, once caught, it's the law. Even during the L6 crisis, when there was no substantial evidence, the Financial Services Commission didn't investigate due to vague suspicions, right? Laws can be changed or created at will. What was legal until yesterday may become illegal today. Such things happen frequently. Ellie, startled by what I said, asked, "So what should I do? If I join that cartel, the problem will be solved." By funding politicians and building connections with conglomerates, media and networks, you can stand alongside industrial conglomerates as an emerging financial conglomerate. Hyunju said, "Another straightforward way is through marriage." I nodded. That's a good idea. Finding a method as certain and secure as marriage may be difficult. With my status, wouldn't even the top 5 conglomerates gladly accept me into their family? Marriage? Jinhoo, you're still so young. At Ellie's words, Hyunju casually replied, "What does age have to do with a strategic marriage? The concept of love marriage is a relatively recent development, less than 100 years old. Before that, marriage was a contract between families. Even now, marriages in chaebol families remain similar." I chuckled. "Do you know what Unsung Group, second in the chaebol hierarchy, did to our family?" I had no desire to get involved in marriage, let alone enter into a cartel. Unsung Group had stolen the technology my father painstakingly developed and destroyed the company he dedicated his life in an instant. Unable to overcome that shock, my father passed away. Once my true identity is revealed, everything that happened to our family will come to light. If they find out I'm his son, how will Unsung Group react? Will they apologize to me or will they try to destroy me? Hyunju asked, "What will you do?" I have to become an untouchable figure. The old me would never have dreamed of going up against a chaebol group. But the situation has changed significantly. Taekyu inquired, "Is it possible?" Looking out over the vast city spread out beneath my feet, I said, "I'll know once I try." Finance and industry are the two wings of the economy. Traditionally, South Korea has had a strong industrial capital. Chaebols have also largely grown based on industrial capital. We have primarily earned money through finance so far. Thus we have had little connection with industrial capital. However, we own stakes in dozens of domestic and foreign companies. At some point we will inevitably collide in some way. The issue is timing. Unless we have no intention of joining hands with them from the start, we must prepare before that time comes. "Nuna, are you okay?" At Taekyu's words, Hyunju Nuna opened her eyes, which had been closed for a moment. She usually looked tired, but today she seemed particularly exhausted. "Are you okay?" Hyunju Nuna took off her glasses and rubbed her eyes. "I've been unable to sleep for days due to taking over work and learning new things." "Why didn't you nap, even on the plane?" "I had documents to go through." He truly is a workaholic. Even if I were told to do the same, I don't think I could. Taekyu said, "You have a lot of money, so why do you need to suffer like this?" Thanks to the continuously growing assets of OTK Company, Hyunju Nuna's assets have also exceeded 1 trillion won. No matter how high the salary of a branch manager is compared to the assets owned, it's like comparing a new shoestring to the blood of a horse. As if it were obvious, Hyunju Nuna said, "Because I enjoy what I do." Although she helps with our work, Hyunju Nuna's identity is fundamentally that of a financial expert. Isn't it that she wants to climb to the top in her own way at the world's best investment bank? Oh. Have you found a building suitable for the headquarters? Not yet. They have the money, but the problem is the lack of available properties. For buildings worth over $1 trillion, individuals rarely own them. Most are owned by corporations, PFs, SWFs, etc. Since the financial crisis, as the economy has recovered, not only in Seoul but also in major cities worldwide, commercial building prices have been steadily rising. Therefore, unless there is an urgent need for cash, people are reluctant to sell. Hyunju Nuna pointed to the building next door. What about moving to the building next door? Next building. Next to this building, there is a twin building that looks exactly the same. It is also owned by Golden Gate. If you're interested, we can sell it. Surprised, I asked, can you make the decision? It's a decision made by the Asia branch manager. It's still under their ownership. I heard about it just before coming here. Golden Gate operates each branch independently. While they are under the control of the headquarters, giving maximum authority to the branch manager is a characteristic. The price. 500 billion won. We need to discuss the details of the contract further. Taekyu was shocked. Why is it so expensive? Hyunju's sister lit a cigarette. It's not extremely expensive considering the market price in the area. Are you planning to cheat everyone we know? Aren't transactions between acquaintances more dangerous? That's not a wrong statement. That's why one should be more cautious when dealing with people they know. Is there a specific reason for selling it? We needed funds urgently to establish the Korean branch. Apart from that, you can consider it as a gesture of consideration towards our trading partners. Unlike standardized apartments, buildings vary greatly in price depending on factors such as location, land area, number of floors, construction method, and year built. Isn't this location and size good enough? Thinking like that, suddenly 500 billion won started to feel very cheap. If I didn't have money, I might have hesitated a bit. Thanks to my time in the UK, my wallet had become thick. With that much money, buying a building is easy. Most importantly, it's hard to find a property like this in Gangnam. Currently, K Company has only 15 employees. Even if we hire more, 1 or 2 floors would be enough. Unless thousands of people like at Golden Gate work there, it's unrealistic to fill the entire building. Still, we could gradually lease the space to companies that we hold shares of in the future. Or we could continue renting out spaces like we do now. Without much hesitation, I nodded my head. I'll purchase it under K Company's name. Nuna, please coordinate the details. Hyunju Nuna nodded as if she had expected that. Got it. You can move into the vacant floor first. The offices currently occupied have lease contracts ending within a year, so we can gradually ask them to move out. Taekyu commented in amazement. So we're becoming the landlord? That's right. It dawned on me that this was the first building our company was buying under its name. It was also our first investment in physical assets. Thinking about it, we had been too indifferent to real estate all this time. While stocks and dollars are good, real estate has its own appeal. Next to the Golden Gate building is the OTK Company building and NBSP. Isn't the view quite nice? Ellie clapped her hands together and said, "That's great. We'll see each other more often once we become neighbors." Hyunju Nuna cut in bluntly, "What are you talking about? It's going to be chaotic until we establish the Korean branch. Ellie, don't think about leaving work early and work with me." Eek. Ellie pouted and we burst into laughter. The final exams were over. Although I hadn't studied much, I could manage the tests with the knowledge I had acquired. Coming out after the exams, I saw Kyunjil and Minyoung with juniors. Kyunjil looked at me and said, "Did you do well on the exam? Did you know Ji Hong Sr. is coming later? You told me a few days ago. We agreed to meet at the pub in front of the school by 6 o'clock. The economic students are going crazy saying they will join us." Why? Why do you think? They want to hear about Brexit. Ah. K Company has been doing well even before, but after Brexit, they stood shoulder to shoulder with large financial companies. How many financial companies in Korea have a capital exceeding 5 trillion won? Thanks to this, the stock price of K Company was rising day by day among the seniors. Currently, Golden Gate is the first choice for foreign employment applications, and K Company is the first choice for Korean applications. Minyoung said, "Senior Gahong will spend all his money today. Aren't you curious about the story of Brexit? It is rare to find someone who knows as well as me what happened that day. The incidents at K Company were relayed to me several times by Senior Sanjiap. Of course, it would be entertaining to hear it directly from Senior Gahong. While chatting with the kids, a man in his late 20s wearing a suit approached. It was none other than Senior Gahong. "Have you come, Senior?" Senior Gahong greeted me warmly. "Kong Jin-hu. Long time no see, young man." I also greeted him warmly. "Long time no see, Senior. Have you been well?" Of course. Since I only met Senior Sanjiap separately outside of the company, I hadn't seen his face for a while. As soon as we met, Senior Gahong started boasting about the company. "Do you know we bought a building in Gangnam this time? The Twin Towers on Tehran Road, right? I bought it, so there was no way I wouldn't know." "Yes, that's right. Now that's going to be K Company's headquarters. The CEO told me to work together with him when we bought it. He said we would buy a building on Tehran Road and move in within a few years. That dream came true in a year and a half." Min Young and Kyan-jil said, "We saw it in the news. Golden Gate was the one who sold it, right? Wasn't it very expensive?" "Well, it's peanuts compared to the money we've made. So we just bought it with cash without any loans. If someone heard, they'd think you bought it yourself." Senior Jihong rested his hand on my shoulder and said, "Jin-hu, you should graduate soon and come under my wing." "Me? Don't worry about learning the job. What's good about having a senior? I will teach you everything from scratch. If you learn from me, you'll quickly adapt to the work," I said with a smile. "I feel secure having a senior like you." I meant it. Seeing a dedicated employee like this makes me proud as a supervisor. I feel like I want to raise his salary. As Senior Jiahong kept boasting about the company, a group of students gathered around us. "Are you Senior Young Jiahong?" "Yes, who are you?" At that moment, a male student bowed and said, "Hello, Senior. We are junior students from the mathematics department. Can we follow you? We'd like to hear about the achievements of our senior in mathematics, Senior Park Sang-yeep." Of course. If you're a representative and juniors, you're no different from my own juniors. Didn't you know that the business department and the mathematics department are like one big family? Since when? Wasn't business a liberal arts major and mathematics a science major? Senior Jiahong coolly exclaimed, "I'm paying for everything today, so call over the math students too." Upon hearing this, the math students hesitated. "Thank you, Senior. Just the students gathered here must be dozens. If we add those who will join us at the pub later, would it not exceed 100? Was this senior always this generous? The alcohol bill might not be cheap." In response to me, Senior Jiahong confidently pulled out a card from his pocket. "Don't worry. The representative provided this card for when meeting juniors. This is the K Company corporate card." Wow. Unlike the cheering crowd, I was shocked inside. Having a corporate card is practically the same as spending my own money. No wonder they were so loud. Suddenly, the desire to raise my salary vanished. "Let's go, guys." Senior Ki-hong took the lead and the others followed eagerly. "Aren't you coming?" Turning my head, I saw Sienna standing there. She was wearing skinny jeans that accentuated her figure, high-heeled sandals, a plain white t-shirt, and had her long hair tied up. Her slender neck and well-defined collarbones were exposed. Even though she didn't dress up for the exams, she was still attractive enough to make passing male students turn their heads. Every time I see her, I can't help but think she's really beautiful. It's amazing to think we used to date. "Exams over?" "Yeah, just now. It's finally vacation time." "Yeah." The conversation continued meaninglessly. As Sienna looked at Senior Ki-hong, then she turned her gaze towards me. "Do you remember when we met at that gathering where Ki-hong Senior was present?" "Why? Of course I remember. It was our first meeting after we broke up." In a calm voice, Sienna asked, "What happened after that?" Although I didn't reveal it when we dated, Sienna was perceptive. She easily noticed even the smallest details others would miss. It was more of an intuition than a judgment from rational calculation. Sienna asked again, "What are you hiding?" Instead of answering, I asked, "Why are you curious? Whatever happened to me or whatever I'm hiding, it's none of your concern, right?" Her expression wavered at my words. "You." Sienna seemed like she was about to say something, but someone else's voice interrupted. "Jin-hu Sr." When I turned around, Yuri was waving her hand. Yuri approached us in an instant and said with a smile, Did you do well on the exam? Feels so good now that it's over. If it's not something urgent, Jin-Hoo Sr., can I borrow you for a moment? The flow of the conversation was disrupted. Sienna nodded her head. Let's talk later. I pretended to give in and was led by Yuri's hand. Did she deliberately show up knowing that I was in a tough situation? Thinking that way, Yuri quickly asked, It's the start of vacation today, what are you going to do, senior? Do you have any plans? I nodded. Yeah. I'm going to the US with a friend to have fun. Yuri crossed her arms and narrowed her eyes. What? Is that true? Yeah. Going to the US is indeed true. But it's not for leisure. Go Junhyung watched a man and a woman conversing outside the classroom window. Suddenly he recalled their chance encounter back in school. Since then he had felt something strange but didn't pay much attention to it. However, events that warranted concern kept happening. The guy whose family had gone bankrupt before military service now lives in a house in Gangnam with friends, driving a Porsche Panamera. At a back-to-school party he boldly placed $5 million on the table against the son of the master chicken CEO. Later, Go Junhyung heard that he was helped by a senior club member who was now the CEO of K Company. Was it because he's close to his junior? He chuckled. Withdrawing $5 million from a bank is not easy even for a conglomerate. There was clearly something between them. Initially, K Company started as a venture capital firm, expanding funds through gift options. Park Sang-yeep had exceptional investment intuition, making big money in derivative markets and successfully betting the company's entire assets during Brexit. Yet there was a point that he just couldn't understand. How did someone who left school with debts to major companies manage to raise investment funds? If he had traded through domestic securities firms, he could have obtained information through connections. However, K Company only traded through Golden Gate, whose client information protection is strict. His friend's older sister became the head of Golden Gate's Asia branch and then the Korea branch manager, while the senior club member turned K Company into a giant. K Company traded through Golden Gate and recently purchased a building owned by Golden Gate. Kang Jin-Hoo, Park Sang-yeep, Oh Taekyu, Oh Hyunju, K Company, Golden Gate. Even with these cursory findings, there were several oddities. Most bothersome was that Sienna was showing interest in that guy again. Go Junhyung made a call somewhere. Could you find out more about the person I'm talking about, please?